Let's find out more about the platform. We're now joined by CEO and co-founder Eugene Tawia. He joins us in New Jersey. Great to have you with us on the show today, Mr. Tawia. Now, let's start off with the fact that we have seen initiatives such as the African Securities Exchanges Association sort of pushing forward that idea of integrating Africa's stock exchanges. Now, you say your platform, it's using tech-driven solutions to do exactly this. How so?
Yes, thanks for having me. Second Stacks at the core is looking to, like you rightly said, bring more harmonization to the capital markets. Today, if you needed to trade across the continent, you had to go and have bilateral agreements in each one of these jurisdictions. As you mentioned, South Africa is one of the largest, but we've seen growth in places like Nigeria. Ghana is behind that in terms of size, but there's been some appreciation in the markets over the last few years. So with Second Stacks, we are really looking to harmonize this, make it easier for people to see the activity in the various markets and be able to make decisions on whether it's the right time for them to enter them. And more importantly, because it's using technology, we provide them best access in terms of straight-through processing for their execution. So we are gradually bringing more of these markets on, and the idea is in one screen, you should be able to see the entire continent, find the right types of assets for your investment philosophy, and be able to execute the trades there. So that is what we are looking to do. Exactly.
Well, I'm curious about the progress you've made so far, because we know you have partnerships with major exchanges such as the Nigerian Exchange, Ghana Stock Exchange, Nairobi Securities Exchange. So what progress has been made so far in improving investment flows into these markets with this platform?
Right. So like you mentioned, we're in Ghana, we're in Kenya, we're in Nigeria. We're looking to bring more markets on this year, and we'll be making some announcements about that. In essence, there's sort of two stages here. Putting the infrastructure in is one big step, and also working with the institutions themselves, the large broker dealers, the asset managers, the pension funds, those market participants who now have new tools that they can use to first discover what's happening in the additional markets that they have access to and be able to actually trade. As you can imagine, with a forum like this, there's a lot of sound bites around the economy. So as part of providing them executing capabilities, we are also compiling lots of the market news, market information. We're taking research that is coming from the various research shops across the continent that are focused on local expertise and covering the various sectors in detail, and bringing all of this alongside the capabilities that we have in execution. So now you have the ability to see what's happening locally, understand what analysts are actually saying about these names, so you can make an informed decision and be able to then trade. So all of these are now becoming available to our clients, and they can obviously now position their portfolios, whether it's a fund, whether they're trading on behalf of a high net worth individual or retail customers that trade with them, to be able to get more opportunities for investment.
Well, getting a little bit into the technicalities rather of all of this and how it all works. You plan to use, for example, the Pan-African payment and settlement system to allow trading in different currencies. Give us a sense of how you plan to expand access, especially technically for institutional investors.
Right. So, I mean, I think it goes without saying that as you start to traverse beyond your own borders, the currency that you need to settle in other markets also becomes important. I think today there have been efforts by the likes of the Flutterwaves and the Paystacks that have really solved this problem at scale for sort of the individual, the small scale capital base, but we haven't really seen that when you, for instance, think about an institution that runs a pension scheme that is looking to do, say, 1 million TDs in a particular bond in another market. So systems like PAPS, which is being sponsored by AfriExim, is promising to make this easier. So I can take my cedis. I don't have to go find USD to then convert that to shillings if I'm buying something in Nairobi. As you can imagine, it's a pretty large ecosystem, which is the capital markets in the continent. So we are moving in stages. I think for us, the value proposition is, as we continue to turn on more markets, that seamless experience for you to be able to sort of transfer money to settle a transaction and also effectively buy a bond or a stock. That is the experience that we want our institutions to have now. And then they can focus on finding the right types of opportunities that give them both the improvement in potential for returns, but also a defensive portfolio where all of their assets are not in one single currency or jurisdiction, where if there are economic concerns or the market is depressed, they don't have the double hit of the currency being devalued as well as the assets themselves. So a lot of what we are doing really is in empowering these institutions to now have better tools so they can diversify their investment process and be able to find better opportunities if they don't have them in their own local jurisdictions.
Now, before we let you go, I mean, I'd like to say these initiatives are not necessarily new, but what's your take on how much progress Africa has seen in terms of using this tech-driven sort of initiatives to unify Africa's markets going forward? What's the progress made so far? How much progress do you think we will see going forward?
So, I mean, we are, I'll call it in the early years of it. Second Stacks went live in Ghana and Kenya in late 2022. We added Nigeria last year. You mentioned ASEA, the AELP link went live late in 22 as well. So we think we are at the beginning. We are seeing a lot of interest from the institutions that are using these platforms to operate, and we are starting to see some of the flows on the platform. So we see this year as one where, especially with some of the markets we are in doing really, really well, starting to see those volumes pick up and finding ways where we can sort of assist the institutions that are custodians of tons of the investable cash on the continent to really find the right places to invest. So we are excited about 2024. I think you will see more announcements on additional markets, additional workflows that are running on these platforms, and more we should start to see that sort of volume that has been limited by the fact that these markets have operated in silos up until now.
Well, we'll certainly be watching, Mr. Tawia. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and for your insights there. That, of course, is Eugene Tawia. He is the CEO and co-founder of Second Stacks.